Allegations of sexual abuse in a secretive order of Peru's Catholic Church. And now members of the group are speaking out. I'm Elaine Reyes in Washington, D.C., and this is America's Now. First up, authorities in Peru investigate the founder of a former sect of the Catholic Church after accusations of physical and psychological abuse.
What is a common situation of all the victims is that they lost their liberty, their freedom, and this freedom was taken by these people.
An order under which
correspondent Dan Collins speaks with some former members of the group, Sodalidium for Christian Life, and tells us more about their secrets and sins. Then a resident from the rich side of Rio de Janeiro reaches out to the city's poor, stimulating the minds of children from Rio's favelas with study.
Children that live in slums and they're very poor, they seldom go out. They live in a ghetto. And I cannot allow them to seek. That is it. No. So I think I bring to them the whole world.
For this week's Game Changer, meet a well-to-do woman saving young lives from the slums. And later, they're made of tough stuff and are fighting their way to the top by boxing, and not all of them are men.
Here, boxing is boxing. I don't think they care about the gender, and that's one of the reasons why we're really excited to come fight in Argentina.
Correspondent Joel Richards reports on Argentina's world-class boxers and what it takes to be a champion. Welcome to the show. Sodalidium of Christian Life was one of Peru's most influential Roman Catholic groups. Formed more than 40 years ago, the secretive organization recruited wealthy young men and women and opened chapters across Latin America, reaching the United States and Europe. Now, Peru's authorities are investigating allegations that its founder sexually and physically abused children for decades. From Lima, correspondent Dan Collins brings us a story of yet another case of sex abuse in the Catholic Church.
they consider themselves half monks, half soldiers. Recruited from Peru's European-descended elite, they thought they'd be serving God's will. Instead, they found themselves serving a different master, says former member Pedro Salinas.
Estamos hablando de un movimiento que tiene una estructura jerárquica, vertical, muy autoritaria, absolutamente totalitaria, que le permite tener todo el poder a una sola persona. Y esa persona, ha quedado demostrado en la investigación, abusa del poder absoluto que tiene, y ello deriva en maltratos psicológicos, maltratos físicos, coerción psicológica, violación de la correspondencia, violación a los derechos humanos, tratos vejatorios y, en los casos extremos, abusos sexuales a menores.
That person was Sodalicium's founder, Luis Figari, accused of rape and molestation by 3 unidentified former members of the secretive group. Half Monks, Half Soldiers is the title of the book written by Salinas and Paula Ugas, which pulls together 30 interviews from former recruits. The allegations of sexual and other abuses are part of a criminal lawsuit in Peru, but Figari is in Rome, protected by the sect he founded. But the allegations against him have obliged him to hire one of Lima's most expensive defense lawyers.
Él está en un retiro forzoso, obligado, y en el cual él está en oración permanente y en una meditación sobre lo que ha sido su vida.
He says Figari admits there were physical excesses, but denies sexual abuse. The Catholic Church in Peru and its most senior representative, the Archbishop of Lima, Cardinal Luis Cipriani, have called on Figari to return and face the allegations.
Los abusos sexuales son materia grave, especialmente en el caso de los niños, siempre. Y la Iglesia no puede, nunca, por ningún caso, encubrirlos.
But no action was taken when 3 men lodged complaints with a Peruvian church tribunal in 2011, alleging Figari had sexually abused them when they were minors. CCTV's request for an interview with Sodalicium of Christian Life's current leader, Alessandro Moroni, went unanswered. But many former members of the organization are now speaking out. Oscar Osterling says he wasn't sexually abused, but bears the psychological scars of 20 years inside Sodalicium. Now aged more than 40, he's trying to begin a normal life, but is racked by doubts.
Para quien no es católico es muy sencillo, es decir, oye, si tú tienes una institución hecha a imagen y semejanza de su fundador, es sencillo. Si el fundador era un depredador sexual, bueno, no puede haber institución. Yo como católico lo que sigo creyendo es que es el Espíritu Santo, digamos, que independientemente del fundador o de que esa persona haya traicionado lo que fue inspirado, puede seguir existiendo.
That faith runs deep in Peru. More than 85% of Peruvians call themselves Roman Catholic. Few thought to question a Vatican-recognized lay organization, especially when the leaders had their photo taken with Pope John Paul II. Yet more, like Osterling, are starting to open up about their experiences.
I was not physically abused, I was not sexually abused, but I was psychologically mistreated. You know, I heard, the 24 of us, heard lots of insults about our fathers, our families, even about ourselves, that we couldn't be good people anyway unless we change, and they didn't like us. So I got away, I escaped from it. I thought for 5 years that I was a traitor, and I started to hear testimonies from people who were really very badly abused. So I started to think.
Cano went on to become a psychologist and an expert on sects. He learned that while the ideology may differ, they all work in virtually the same way. He believes Figari, like so many so-called charismatic leaders, is a psychopath.
It's a pathological leader. It's a leader that has his personality built around a psychopathic personality. The psychopath is a person who doesn't care about the other. We have different levels of psychopaths. There are serial killers, and we also have massive movement leaders. So these are the ones most evolved, most complex, most dangerous.
But it's not just the founder, but also his second-in-command, who is accused of using his power to rape and sexually abuse minors. Herman Doig, who died in 2001, was a candidate for sainthood until the allegations emerged and the campaign to see him beatified petered out. But shut off from the outside world in places like this and protected by some of Peru's wealthiest and most powerful families, it took years for the truth to come out. This is one of several houses where Luis Figari, the founder of Sodalicium, lived until he fled to Rome in 2014. It's up for sale now, but there are still signs of the old order, an order under which dozens of devout young men were forced to live in complete obedience to his every whim and desire. Below this symbol of a flaming sword, it reads in Latin, "The Lord has chosen 9 battles." Many former members may not remember what those battles were, or exactly how they were supposed to be fighting them. More than fighting the good fight, members recall they were forced to wait hand and foot on the founder as he watched television late into the night.
Si es una persona, digamos, inspirada por el Espíritu Santo, ¿no es cierto? Y que tienes además una cúpula que lo secunda en lo que él dice, él era capaz de supuestamente mirarte el alma a través de la mirada. Entonces, y todo el mundo le creía. Él te decía lo que tú estabas pensando. Y tú te creías, tú que estabas afuera viendo esa escena, creías de verdad que él sabía lo que estaba pensando la otra persona. Entonces, y como tienes autoridad y como no cuestionas, y si cuestionas eres un desobediente y si cuestionas eres un disidente, ¿no es cierto? Nada, le tienes que hacer caso.
This kind of pseudo-religious conditioning took place in many of the top schools across Peru. Sodalicium recruiters preyed on troubled, often rebellious teenagers, as Pedro Salinas recalls.
Personalmente estaba atravesando por una situación complicada en mi casa. Mis padres se estaban separando, yo tenía problemas de conducta en el colegio, me estaban expulsando del colegio y de pronto aparecieron estas personas como mis rescatistas o mis salvadores, ¿no? Y el método de captación es muy parecido al de cualquier secta. Gradualmente te van separando de tu familia, luego te van separando de tus amigos, luego van pulverizando y anulando y aniquilando la figura paterna, que luego es reemplazada por diversas figuras paternas que existen en la organización. Hay un momento, pasados varios años, que cuando miras hacia atrás, atrás ya no hay nada. Miras a tu costado y solamente ves sodálites, que son tu nueva familia. Y en ese momento es cuando te piden un mayor grado de compromiso y es el que dejes todo para entrar a vivir en las comunidades.
They were brainwashed, says Salinas, repeating phrases like, "He who obeys is never wrong," or "The independent spirit is death for the community." Figari used a series of tricks to bend the recruits to his will, like exploring energy points in the body or supposedly helping them to relax through yoga. Jose Ugas, a leading Peruvian lawyer representing the victims, says this was how the recruits became virtual slaves.
What is a common situation of all the victims is that they lost their liberty, their freedom. And this freedom was taken by these people who conditioned their lives into a mental prison. I mean, they were living in homes that they controlled, and all of the victims say that they felt in the impossibility of living there because their mental situation had been conditioned in such a way that they didn't feel free to live.
What's now being investigated is precisely Sodalicium's relationship with power and money. Exempt from taxes as a religious organization, Sodalicium amassed considerable assets, including properties, cemeteries, schools, and even universities. How it came by those considerable resources is just beginning to come to light.
Journalists continue to investigate Sodalicium just as the legal case begins against its founder and other members. But with Peru's legal system, no one expects the process to be swift.
Coming up.
A wealthy resident of Rio dedicates her life to the poor.
What I really want is to see a Brazil more equal. This is only possible by education.
America's Now.
Welcome back. We want to introduce you to a Brazilian socialite, a member of Rio de Janeiro's upper class dedicated to teaching the poorest of the poor. In her years of activism, she found that children traumatized by violence suffered from developmental delays. So she started a program in one of Rio's largest favelas to help young victims recover and learn, then integrate back into school. This week's Game Changer is Yvonne Becerra de Mello.
I think the big challenge in Brazil is to educate the children in a very violent community. My name is Yvonne Becerra de Mello. I'm 68 years old. I'm the founder and the coordinator of a non-profit organization called Projeto Herê in Rio de Janeiro. Herê means Children of the Golden Rainbow. I think it was a very good name for a non-profit organization. I work on the streets of Rio directly from 1980 to 1993. 93, some kids of one of my groups was killed by police death squad. It's called the Candelaria murder. I said to myself, what am I going to do? So I opened the first Herê school under a bypass downtown Rio. Projeto Herê is specialized in children with cognition problems due to violence. My thesis was children at war, why they are not learning correctly. They blocked a certain part of the brain, they blocked the hippocampus. And the first thing they lose is the short memory. And they lose also some capacities of connecting, of learning, of improving vocabulary. Because you have everything against you. You have the drugs, you have arms all the time, shootings, people killed, you have split families. So the great challenge for me is to build, to shape these children. Children that live in slums and they're very poor, they seldom go out. They live in a ghetto. And I cannot allow them to seek. That is it. No. So I think I bring to them the whole world. Como é que diz bom dia em inglês? Good morning. Good morning. Em francês? Bonjour. Em alemão? Good morning. Em japonês? Ohayou. Ohayou. Em chinês? Zan Chan Hao. Tá bom? Em chinês? Zan Chan Hao. I educated the sons and daughters of all bandits of the area. They all come to Herê. It's very hard to be son and daughter of a drug dealer. It's not easy. And so they all ask me to raise their kids. And I say yes, for me it's no problem because children cannot be responsible for what parents do.
Eu comecei com 2 anos aqui no Herê, já tenho 13, são 11 anos, e o Herê me ensina a pensar, a educação e a pedagogia, e está me ajudando na escola. Me deu vontade de estudar mais e ter uma vida como ser humano, um cidadão brasileiro e querer ser um jogador de futebol e um piloto de avião.
What I really want is to see a Brazil more equal. This is only possible by education. So what kids need the most, before you give them, doesn't matter what, is that they feel loved. So what I want that my children, they feel so happy when they put their first foot in Uere. So it's the first thing to do. It's show that you love them.
Yvonne's methodology has been used to teach thousands of teachers in 3 different cities in Brazil. She's had a hand in helping more than 100,000 children. If you know someone who's helping change the world, drop us a line at cctv-america.com or tweet us at cctv_America and tell us about a game changer you would like to see on America's Now.
Coming up.
Boxing for both men and women in Argentina.
And that's one of the reasons why we're really excited to come fight in Argentina. They don't care whether you're male or female, they just care if the fight's great.
America's Now.
Welcome back to America's Now. Argentina has long produced many world-class boxers. One of them is Cesar Cuenca, who won a title in China last year. With its ties to politics, the sport is often associated with fighters who hail from humble beginnings. America's Now correspondent Joel Richards meets some of Argentina's champions and those hoping to become one.
It's the weigh-in ahead of a major international fight. Canadian Jelena Mijanovic has travelled to Argentina. She has a fierce record of 19 knockouts in 20 title defence fights. Mijanovic will be facing Soledad Matisse, also a world champion. This fight will unify 2 world titles. There's trouble at the weigh-in. Matisse's team are unhappy. Behind the scenes, an argument over the Canadian boxer's weight.
You can tell me to find the rules. It's in the rules.
El límite es 57, 150. Ella está en 57, 200. Pero ella está en la tolerancia de 1 libra.
No, because it's in the rules that women get a pound allowance. This is my 20th title defense. I don't really care.
The argument continues. Despite the occasion, nobody has a copy of the rules. Phone calls to boxing officials in different time zones finally clears up the issue. Perhaps this is all part of using home advantage. In this room at a downtown hotel in Buenos Aires, with just a handful of journalists present, the press conference. Soledad Matisse is well known, not only for her success, but also for her surname. Her brother Lucas Matisse is one of the top boxers in the world right now.
Bueno, en mi familia, en mi hogar siempre se respiró boxeo, ¿no? Mi papá fue boxeador allá en la década de los 80 y bueno, yo me crié ahí, me crié acompañándolo en el gimnasio. Mi papá peleaba, yo andaba jugando abajo del ring, correteando con un niño, jugando, pero nunca pensé que iba a ser boxeadora, ¿no? Soy mamá de 3 nenas. Me dediqué al boxeo después de que tuve mis hijas, me fui al gimnasio como para bajar de peso. Empecé a pegarle la bolsa y dije, bueno, ¿cómo no intentarlo, no? Qué sé yo, fue algo... Hice mucho deporte, pero este fue el que más me gustó. Soy campeona del mundo y bueno, lo voy a aprovechar.
Already with 1 world title to her name, Soledad Matisse is confident she can further the family tradition and win another world title belt the following day.
Este lugar es como mi casa, Acá me entrené toda mi carrera profesional y el distinto me puso un colega de ustedes porque me dijo que una vez me vio bajar acá cuando yo peleaba y me dijo, la verdad vos ese es el distinto a todo, dice. Otro me puso Fred Astaire, pero me quedó el distinto.
Cesar Cuenca is a low-profile boxer. He's well-liked. A local heavy metal band wrote a song for him in tribute to his success. Cuenca has trained at this same gym for 15 years, alongside the murals of past Argentine champions. Soon, he'll have his own wall too. In July, he won the world welterweight title in China. At the age of 34, the title is the prize for a career's work. In his hometown, a single banner welcomes the world champion.
Yo no lo miro, porque a mí me pone nervioso y yo veo el video. A ver como si es pegador, si es derecho y ya está.
Not studying his opponents has served Cuenca surprisingly well. He holds an astonishing record.
Cuando yo me fui en China me hicieron un reportaje de Estados Unidos, se dieron cuenta del récord que yo tenía, que le llegaba el mismo récord que Mayweather, que una pelea más y pasaba el récord de Rocky Marciano. Y la verdad que allá afuera le dan más bola, digamos, al tema del boxeo, ¿no? Acá es como que está un poquito apagado.
Undefeated, he may share the record with Floyd Mayweather, but Cuenca is far removed from the fame and glamour of multi-millionaire boxers. Many thought he would never get a chance at a world title fight because of his style. Osvaldo Rivero is one of Argentina's top boxing promoters. He's manager to both Cuenca and Soledad Matisse, just two of his more recent world champions.
Tener casi 50 peleas y 2 knockouts puede llegar a indicar de que no soy un boxeador comercial, pero por lo que yo leí y vi después de esta pelea, es como que han descubierto una nueva forma de boxeo y que a la gente le gusta.
Even for national and world champions in Argentina, boxing is not a lucrative sport for the majority of fighters.
Y en 2004 yo salí campeón argentino y yo no tenía apoyo de nadie, tenía un apoyo de acá del barrio, que era una farmacia que me daba para el boleto y todo eso.
Cuenca is now looking ahead to retaining the world title, but he's enjoying the limelight and the media attention. Rivero says he has seen many fighters rise from humble backgrounds to the very peak of boxing.
Esto es un deporte que se practica para ganarle un poco a la sociedad que te tocó vivir y que son todos de niveles que empezaron muy de abajo y que esta fue la única salida para quien sabe subir uno o dos escaloncitos.
Argentina has a long tradition of producing world champions. Most recently it's the likes of Cuenca, but in the past it was Luis Firpo, Oscar Bonavena, Carlos Monzon, or here, José María Gatica, who used to have the name of the former President General Perón and his wife Evita on his boxing gown when entering the ring.
When General Perón became a strong figure in the middle of the 40s, he understood that sport is a huge and enormous propaganda weapon. They called every time his sportsmen as ambassadors. So he supports very much football, boxing, the athletics, the cycling races, because he understood it was the poor people sports.
Politics is still intimately linked with boxing. It's one of the main sources of income for the sport.
Right now it's almost impossible to organize any kind of small or big festival without the support of the government, local, province or national.
The busy station Constitución links Buenos Aires with the outlying suburbs. Next to platform 14, a boxing gym that was set up by one of the railway trade unions. Around 20 boxers regularly train here under the guidance of Alberto Santoro.
Uno de los motivos que también los trae acá es porque vienen de toda la zona sur, vienen en tren, se bajan del tren y entran al gimnasio. Uno de los objetivos es sacar chicos de la calle, como se hace normalmente en muchos gimnasios. Y hay chicos que vienen, se sacan de la calle, y hay chicos que vienen y vuelven a la calle. Es una profesión pobre, es una profesión que no es para vivir, pero es para tener mucho cuidado, para practicarlo, porque es de alto riesgo.
Maxi Rios is about to turn professional. Now 26, he started in the sport late on. For him, it was a way to stay focused at a difficult time in his life.
Bueno, yo en ese tiempo fumaba, era cualquier cosa, no era un deportista. Cuando falleció mi hija, yo tuve que apartarme de todo lo que era el boxeo, el deporte, no porque quise yo, sino porque me sacaron del club. Por el problema que yo tuve, me decaí una semana y no me daban la chance de poder seguir enseñando. Tenía 4 meses y medio. Ella, según lo que me dijeron los médicos, se olvidó de respirar. Esos son los síntomas de la muerte súbita. Y esto me ayudó mucho, esto me da la fuerza y cuando estoy en el ring y siento que ya no tengo el aliento para seguir pegando, me lo da mi hija ahí adentro del ring.
Rios has an impressive record. Of 27 fights, he had 15 knockouts, 10 wins, 2 draws, and not 1 defeat. But this fight at the Boxing Federation shortly before turning professional was tough. He was disappointed with his performance, but is still focused on turning professional and is optimistic about the career ahead of him. Meanwhile, he trains young adults escaping drug addiction at his gym outside the city. Every month here at the Federation in Buenos Aires, dozens of boxers from around Argentina fight, gaining experience and fueling their ambition to make it one day. It's fight night for Soledad Matisse. It's at the same gym where Cesar Cuenca trains. Matisse is from the south of Argentina, but her challenger, Mijanovic, wanted the fight in Buenos Aires. There are nerves, but Matisse's team have studied her rival. Her husband, strapping her hands here, is a former boxer. Her brother-in-law in the red jacket is Omar Narvaez, a legendary boxer himself. She has strong experience and knowledge in her team. Next door, Mijanovic is confident. She wanted to fight in Argentina, a country well known for the number of women's champions.
Here, boxing is boxing. I don't think they care about the gender. And that's one of the reasons why we're really excited to come fight in Argentina. Same thing with Mexico. I want to fight in Mexico too because they don't care whether you're male or female. They just care if the fight's great.
El boxeo femenino está creciendo cada vez más, están saliendo boxeadoras, campeonas del mundo, tenemos nuevas ahora, así que no, está muy bueno, se ve mucho más boxeo femenino también.
Soledad Matisse has home advantage. She has several Argentine world champions, including Cesar Cuenca, supporting her, and there are a few hundred spectators. It was a tough fight for both boxers. Mijanovic is known as a hard hitter. But Matisse stuck to her strategy and reaped the reward. Another world title for her and for Argentina.
Our thanks to correspondent Joel Richards for that report. Soledad Matisse is just one of Argentina's many female champions. According to the Women's International Boxing Association, Argentina has more of them than any other country.
Coming up.
The journey of a Spanish photographer through the United States.
I guess it's a romantic relationship that I have with photography, but my camera is like an extension of myself.
America's Now.
Welcome back. This week's urban voice crossed the Atlantic Ocean from Spain and into the United States. She traveled across the country, capturing the relationship between humans and animals, especially man and man's best friend. Meet photographer and filmmaker Bego Anton.
amazing the way Gordon looks at Nana. And that's why I find this picture so important. It was the first time that I got that connection or that bond on a picture. So that's why it means a lot to me.
Can you tell us how you come up with the name Everybody Loves to Cha-Cha-Cha?
I chose the name after Sam Cooke's song, Everybody Loves to Cha-Cha-Cha. You know, like, everybody loves to cha-cha-cha.
Little children like to cha-cha-cha. They like to cha-cha-cha. They like to cha-cha-cha. Everybody likes to cha-cha-cha.
It tells the story of how the singer, Sam Cooke, takes his girlfriend for a dance. And when they are in the dance ring, he wants to take her out to dance, but she says, like, I can't dance cha-cha-cha. And he said, okay, don't worry, I'm going to teach you how to dance it. And at the end of the night, she can dance actually better than he does.
Everybody Loves to Cha-Cha-Cha is the title of Bego Anton's latest collection of photographs, brought to Washington, D.C. during its annual photo week.
It tells the story of women who dance with the dogs. Or we can say it the other way around. It tells the story of dogs who dance with the humans. Everybody involving the human and the dog, and then it's a cha-cha-cha that is one kind of dance. So it's speaking about everybody, and everybody can dance.
She is a journalist, photographer, and filmmaker from Spain. Anton started an artistic residency at the International Studio and Curatorial Program in New York with the help of the Spanish Embassy. Prior to her trip to the U.S., where she spent several months in various states, the artist had time to reflect on the stories she wanted to tell and research them as well.
And I find out like many different topics. And suddenly, I don't know how, I ended up on YouTube watching a video of Caroline Scott and Rocky dancing after a Grease song. And I was shocked and fascinated, like, what is this? It's a woman dancing with her dog, and that's how I discovered musical canon freestyle. And I decided to focus my whole residency on that topic, because I think it's a really powerful topic.
Anton describes musical canine freestyle as a choreographed performance in which a dog and a human move to music.
The good thing about freestyle is exactly that it's free. There are no rules. You are not doing a mistake. So if something goes wrong, what you do is you do something with that mistake. And for me, this moment is that moment in which each of them is looking like to a different place. They are in different places. It's like suddenly each of them are in a different world. And I love it because of that. It's part of the mistake that makes it beautiful.
She decided that her new series should deeply explore the relationship between humans and animals.
For me, it was really important to show the bond that these humans and dogs have together. I consider that I found a sport or an activity that makes humans and dogs be in the same level. That's why I told you at the beginning that these are dogs dancing with the humans, and I didn't use the word owner, because they are both at the same level. This is not possible without the dog, the same way it's not possible without the human. And I find this unity so beautiful and important. The blanket is the same breed as the dog itself.
While working on this series of photographs, the artist also produced and directed a film by the same name.
I love my pets more than anything in the whole world. When I met my boyfriend, I told him that my pets are always going to come first. You will be second. Right? Yes.
Here you can see how they feel about their dogs. They mean the world to them. They are so important. I didn't want to go straight to the picture, because for me it's really important to know them before, and to talk to them, spend some time with them. And I also want them to be comfortable with me.
Her works also highlight the distinct, unusual, and magical in human nature.
I took pictures of people in Catalonia, in Spain, who can see UFOs and have some kind of connection with aliens. Then I also did a series about naturalist people who walk naked in a campsite, now I'm working on a project about how Icelandic people believe in the elves, in fairies, in trolls. So these are very particular people, like a small group of people who have a common interest that make them special. And I think they are special because they are a bit different from the rest of the society. I don't shoot that much because as I shoot film, I'm old-fashioned, I guess. I don't know, but I feel more comfortable with film. All the process is different. I guess it's a romantic relationship that I have with photography, but I shoot much less. I really think about the frame as well. And my camera is like an extension of myself. So, I mean, I have a Pentax 6.7, and it's like an amazing big and heavy thing. So it's like, I don't know, I'm a romantic and old-fashioned.
Through her lens, the artist shares with the world the mysterious relationship between humans, nature, and the unknown.
Bego Anton is back in Spain, where she continues to study nature. She's also working on her first book. It's based on her series, Dust Under Our Feet, which focuses on the power of fantasy.
America's Now.
Finally, Washington, D.C. is known for its historic buildings, politics, and its cosmopolitan population. It is a city rich in culture, but it also knows how to have fun. The past several winters, a group has organized massive snowball fights in the heart of the city, drawing hundreds each time it snows. We leave you with images of their most recent snowball war in the U.S. Capitol. Thanks for watching. We look forward to seeing you again next week for another edition of America's Now.